did this report in response to the UN Convention on the Right of the Child and the Children's Act 560, judged to also allow children to express their views on matters that concerns them and then the nation. And we all know that children also form a large part of the population of Ghana. For that matter, their views are also important. So we decided to do this with this concept in mind. We commissioned this to also make sure children have understanding of issues on values, attitudes, and some development that goes on in this country. And the objective for carrying out this research is to provide evidence on the values and the issues concerned to children and provide them with the needed opportunity to have their voice heard on key issues that affect them. Also, to engage or gauge and explore children's life experience on issues affecting them now and how that might be in the next 20 years. So we used a stratified random sampling system to collect data on 11,288 children across the country, so which means that we covered all the regions in Ghana. And the targeted group for this research is between 12 and 17. We know that children are responsible at the age of 12 because the law says that they can be held responsible for their actions. So we consider this age period because of the understanding that we want them to have and then the things that they can also say. So we targeted this group of people. So we also did a sampling allocation based on the population census in 2010, and then also the Statistical Service report also. So we did a segregation and even exceeded that by 113%. So to move into the main findings, we looked at the issue of national pride and identity. And clearly, over 90% of respondents, in this case children, are proud to be Ghanaians. And they listed the top 5 factors that makes them to believe in Ghana. And one is peace and stability, which is 48%, freedom of speech, 39.1%, systems of democracy, 31.8%, cultural diversity, 28.3%, and then the country's natural resources, 25.7%. So they form the basis for their belief in Ghana. And as to whether they're optimistic about the future of the country, this is what children are saying. Nearly 80% of the respondents say they're optimistic about the Ghana's future in the next 20 years. And then 20% see the country's future as bleak. So in this case, they are not certain as to whether the country has a future. The priority of children when given the chance to become a leader for a day, children are saying that the things that they will change has to do with job creation, which is 71%, fight corruption, 42%, improve quality education, 37%, encourage entrepreneurship, 31%, and improve infrastructure, 21%. Views on management. We asked children that if they are given 5,000 Ghana cedis today, what would they use it for? And this is what they are saying. Some said they will invest it in education, which is 51%, start a new business, 27%, and then do savings, 16%. And if you look at the start a new business, is more, most of them, about 80%, says that they want to do retailing, buying and selling. So that also, though you see that children want to invest in that area, the area of investment is also of a concern. So we looked at the economy also, and this, we base our indicators on the standard of living, what pertains at home every day. So a little over 60% of the respondents believe that country is on the right track, and 38% say it is heading in the wrong direction. And then 55% of the children are not satisfied with the standard of living. 45% believe so, but 55% say that they are not okay with it, based on what happens at home and then around them, especially when it comes to their eating arrangement, 3 square meals a day, and other things that when they ask their parent, they are unable to afford it, and the reasons that they give for not being able to afford it. So the top 5 things that Ghana needed to progress in the next 20 years from the child's point of view. First is reduce corruption, which is 66%, reduce poverty, 48%, creating new jobs, 46%, better living standard, 27%, and then limiting the powers of politicians, 25%. So based on this, we picked why children responded to issues on corruption. And these are some reasons that children give for if they are the things that Ghana will need in the next 20 years. And they are saying that overpricing of everyday goods and services, politicians and public officers intervening for perpetrators who commit offense against children, especially in child abuse cases, favoritism in scholarship disbursement and the processes of assessing scholarships in this country. Police officers, Madam is here, you'll be introduced, so I won't mention your name. Police officers accepting bribes from traffic violations when children are in public transportation or with their parents. Examination malpractices. When parents come back from political campaigns, they go with empty-handed, and when they are coming, they come with foodstuff, motorbikes, bicycles, flashlights. And then there's a blatant violation of traffic regulations and rules, especially when children are going to school. So these are things that children listed as the reasons why they see that there's a need for us to address issues of corruption. And then finding jobs in Ghana in the next 20 years, children, about 94% of the respondents say that they are worried about getting jobs in the next 2 decades. The social problems children are most concerned about today is the high unemployment, which is 66%, high level of poverty, 42%, corruption, 36%, high number of orphans and street children, 36%, and a poor education. These are things that children consider as social problems. So for top priorities of children, for government to increase spending, from children's perspective, they think that these are the areas that government should increase spending. The first is employment creation, which is 77%, investment in quality education, social protection, infrastructure, agricultural development, and then security. Opinion of children about religion. This is also one of the areas that are of importance to us because of the way children view religion. And for children, 81% of them believe that religion is very important. 73% of children say that religion is personal as opposed to the religion affiliation of their families or their culture. So their belief in religion is not because of what their parents believe in, but their personal faith. And they attributed these factors why they think that religion is personal. The close family ties and units, the belief of children that religion is a personal choice and faith and should not be based on the belief of their parent. And they say that differing views on religion from that of their parent are due to non-conformity of parents to actions and principles of their religion. So for example, domestic violence, so it means that when the pastor or the church member comes back from the church, they engage in domestic violence with their parents. or mother or father, or even in society. Corruption at workplaces, verbal abuses, as exhibited by their parent. And then what they also said is that the places dedicated for worship in churches and mosques are generally not attractive and not conducive for children. What children need in order to succeed in life in the next 20 years, children listed hard work as 25%, educational qualification 23%, individual talent 20%, individual efforts 12%, status, and then also the parent social standing as 10%, and religious beliefs as 5%, luck and chance as 4%. So we also went into the issue of how the current educational system would influence children in terms of finding jobs in the future. And over half of children say they are optimistic that they will get a job to do. But 47% of the children paint a bleak picture as to how the country's current educational system would help them find jobs in the next 20 years. So on the issue of how today's educational system is essential in the next 20 years in finding the desired job, children are divided. 50% say the current system will be useful in getting the desired job, whilst 50% conclude that it will not be useful. So the reason they cited has to do with the fact that children have been oriented by the current educational structure to believe that they are more likely to acquire jobs after completing a degree course as opposed to TVET programs and technological programs. Most children perceive acquisition of degree to securing a white-collar job and associate that to increasing the social status of the family and the pride attached to being a degree holder. Children are more inclined to study courses regarded as prestigious by their parent. So most of the STEM programs that children run are not because children are so much interested in it, but it's motivated by their parents. So though these programs are very important, it doesn't come from the perspective of the children, but they see that it is coming from the perspective of the parent. So if your mom is a doctor, your father is a doctor, or a lawyer, you are compelled to also be a lawyer as to whether you'd want to be a lawyer or not. Then children were asked about the skills requirement for future jobs. And they listed the following: the high level of training and skills, 54%, acquisition of technical and vocational skills, 35%, technological and innovative skills, 12%. And getting these findings, I was a bit surprised in terms of how technology is driving most of the things and how come it was the least of it. So it shows the extent to which we have exposed our children to technology and the need for us to see how best we can make it as a priority for the development of our children. So children's attitude towards agriculture as a career in the future, about 20% of the children would want to develop a career in agriculture, whilst 80% express uncertainty to go into agriculture. So we also decided to look at those who live around the coastal belt and then those who are also in the forest belt to see whether there would be a distinction because of what they see every day. But the research did not give us any concrete evidence as to whether the fact that they are within the certain belt, they would have interest in agriculture, but the picture wasn't so. Then another area that we'd also ask children about has to do with the intention of children to leave the country. 55% of the respondents say they wish to migrate to another country, whilst 11% would either stay in the country or leave. The majority of the respondents cited greener pastures, education, and better standard of living as reasons why they would leave the country when there is a chance. And if you look at the regional basis, you realize that most of them are coming from Brong-Ahafo region, Ashanti region, and then the northern region. So we believe strongly that this accounts for the reasons why there's a high level of migration from other areas and why people are trafficked to other areas or other countries. So on the basis of this, which we would give you the full report to see some of the things, this is just a summary. We're saying that these are issues that children are expressing, and there's a need for us to consider it in our planning, and then as a country, what we can do to put our children on the right track, because their thinking, I think that must be shaped by national policy and what we need to do to ensure that they believe in Ghana. So for national pride and identity, we are recommending that we have to teach patriotic songs in all educational institutions at all levels. Translate all school mottos, the national anthem, and the pledges into languages of the area in which the schools are situated. And the use of African print as uniforms, because we realized that that speaks a lot about children when we did the research. We were even surprised that they were raising some of these issues. But these are things that concern children. They think that when it is done, it can also build their spirit of nationalism. The school environment should be designed with patriotic symbols so that every single day children would have things to see about Ghana. And one of the things that he expressed has to do with the distortion in the history of Ghana. Children, we've never been consistent in telling the history of Ghana to children. And in most of the histories that they hear come from the cultural perspective. So there's some level of inconsistency in telling the history of Ghana to children and then how they should also understand it. So when it comes to education and employment, we are recommending that a high level of importance must be accorded to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, technical and vocational education courses in our schools, and we have to prioritize that, and if possible, give scholarship for our students to study in this area to any level that they want to get to. Children should therefore be educated on the importance of these areas of study, ensuring the functioning society so that they would understand things properly, because most of them are running these courses not because they understand what they are doing, but they feel that we are imposing it on them. So the free will for children to decide on what they want to do must be given. There are others that genuinely want to do science, but the educational system did not provide them the opportunity to do so because probably they don't have anyone to speak for them. And some of these things were very visible on the ground. In the area of agriculture, we realized that about 80% of the children are not interested in going into agriculture, and that is serious. And so for us, we think that we have to reorient the children to prioritize and target agriculture and make it attractive. And a conscious effort must be made to expose agricultural opportunities to children within the supply chain so that they do not see agriculture as only farming. There are a lot of opportunities in the agriculture sector, but all that we've succeeded in doing or telling our children is that agriculture is all about what? Farming. And we know that I was having a discussion with Professor Safo, and he was like, those days when you don't go to school, your parent will tell you that if you don't go to school, you go and weed, or you go to the farm. So from the word go, we've told our children that farming is not the option for you, but we know what farming is doing to us as a country. Then in the area of corruption and religion, one of the things that stood out clearly has to do with the social behavior of people and how children see it every day. So we are proposing that society must live a life of integrity and social consciousness, since children emulate society by what they see. Officials found to be corrupt must be prosecuted and punished to serve as a deterrent. This, we believe, that it will break that culture of impunity when officials commit offense. And children were so clear that in most cases, politicians, officials break traffic rules. I don't know why they are so concerned about that, but charity begins at home. So if you can break traffic rules, then the tendency of breaking any other rules from the perspective of children, it is very, very, very high. So on this note, this is what we did, and we're sharing it with you, and whatever it is that we all can do as a nation to get our children on the right track, we need to put ourselves together and champion that cause.